All right, everybody, welcome back to the Infinite Gold Podcast. It's your show host, Bre and Anthony. And today we have a special guest with us. But before we get started, we have been, over 40 episodes now
That's
in.
correct.
And we just wanted to share that with everybody because that's a huge win. And we just got started at the beginning of the year. So if you like the show, share the show. If you know somebody who could benefit from our episodes and listening into the wisdom that we share and experiences that we've gone through, please share the show. But today, welcome. We have Alejandra Perez with us. She is a speaker and she helps people gain their energy and confidence back. You can follow her on Instagram at Alejandra Speaks. Thank you, Alejandra.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. This is so fun. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you for joining us. So if you want, can you give us a 2 to 3 minute bio, a little bit about who you are and what you're doing?
Thank you. Yes, I am Alejandra, and what I do is that I help high achievers gain energy, clarity, and confidence so that they can feel better and perform at their best and ultimately live their most fulfilled lives. And I realized that energy is what opened all the doors and opportunities for me. In my story, I came here to the United States over 10 years ago as an immigrant, and I did not know anybody. I had meager savings, and I just had the opportunity to build a career from scratch. And I realized that it came from my energy, from my enthusiasm, how I showed up, and not from the people that I knew or from my previous experience. So that is why today I realized that I just want to help people tune into their energy, pretty much be able to make an assessment. What is it that fuels your energy? What is it that drains your energy? So that from this awareness, we can be intentional and proactive about it so that we can have better presence and better confidence. And ultimately, when we show up as our best, not only will create opportunities for ourselves, but we'll feel better and more fulfilled and aligned. And ultimately, that's what I like to do and speak about.
I love it. Yeah, no, raising the awareness of what pours into your energy and what drains your energy. And that kind of is going to tie into a little bit of some of the questions we're going to ask you today. And we're about to launch a burnout campaign. And I know that you speak a lot about burnout. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What are some tools that you recommend to people when they're struggling with burnout or they're about to reach burnout? What's something that you help them with?
Yeah, so ultimately, I feel that burnout is a signal. It's not necessarily something that we need to take care of, but it is a signal to stop for a minute and realize, okay, why are we feeling like this? What took us to this in the first place? And then, okay, once we have some awareness on how we got here, then we can start to make some adjustments, right? But it's just a signal that it's time to take a break. It's time to stop, connect with yourself, and just not go on autopilot. Because a lot of the times what happens is that you're in autopilot, you are just reacting to everything that's happening around you. And it's not until you stop for a second and think, okay, how did I got here in the first place, that we can start taking an action. So the awareness phase is taking note on what are your patterns throughout the day? When in the day do you have more energy? How do you feel after each task? So the first tool that I always tell all the people that I work with is, okay, for a week or so, track throughout your day. How does your energy feel? What activities fuel you? What activities drain you? And then that gives us some information so we can start tackling it.
So good. Yeah, no, tracking it is just that's something that we talk about too, is tracking our progress, but like tracking your energy and where you're having like your high peaks of energy. Like, okay, what did I do today that got me to that peak of my energy? That's awesome.
I love that you mentioned tracking. Like a lot of people, they track their health, they'll track their nutrition, but very few do people actually track their mindset and or their energy levels. So I love that you talk about that. Now, let's say somebody is realizing that they're peaking, let's just say in like the afternoon, and like their mornings are sluggish or their evenings are sluggish. What are some tactics that you like to recommend where if they know they're going to be sluggish at a certain time in the day, what are some things that they can do to limit those sluggish hours?
Again, it comes from being proactive and pretty much understanding what makes you feel better before that sluggish moment or that point of the day where you get that crash. So for everybody, it might be a little bit different. Movement and pretty much changing what you're doing is always going to help. And what I mean by that is if you're sitting down, stand up. If you're standing up, move a little bit. If you're standing up, walk. Some people like to do push-ups, jumping jacks, that kind of thing. It really, really makes a difference because it takes us outside of our heads pretty much. Yeah. So that is a really quick thing that you can do as a first step. Okay, I don't know what to do. Just change your state and try to get moving. That always is going to help. For me personally, something that I came across and that I do is sound healing or sound therapy. And pretty much what this is listening to certain frequencies. We see on YouTube a lot of focus, hertz on this number for that. This is for intense focus. This is for concentration. There are some that are really good for restoration and recharging. And that is a field that I've been studying, and it came from my own experience because I realized that every single day around 1-2 p.m. after lunch, I would feel sluggish. And I just felt like I needed to close my eyes. I didn't have enough time for a nap. And I came across these meditation practices and these frequencies. And it was just such a game changer. Just closing my eyes for even 5 minutes makes a huge, huge difference. And it allows you to, pretty much get a relief on your eyesight, rest your eyesight, connect with yourself, breathing. So those are 3 things that I would recommend to anybody. Just move immediately. If you can do some breathing and any music or sound frequencies.
So good. You're talking about, you mentioned sound bath, and we know you're starting to tap into that a little bit, and now you host it. Is it on Sundays? Okay.
Yes, every other Sunday I'm hosting them. I'll actually be doing them live on Instagram. So if anybody is listening and they can follow on Instagram, Alejandra Speaks, then every other week on Sundays, I will be going live, and I will also be sharing the recordings with anybody who's interested. So
very nice.
I'll be there if you want some resources. Thank you.
Yay.
But pretty much even closing your eyes and breathing for 2 minutes can make a huge, huge difference. If you don't have a resource, if you're out of battery, anything, that always will help you. Just do an instant recharge.
Nice. Okay.
So you mentioned like the sound waves and just relaxing. What does that do to our bodies? Or like for someone who's, like that just sounds like voodoo stuff. Like, what are you talking about here? Like, can you elaborate a little bit more? Like, what does it actually do to your physiological state that makes you feel better?
So it comes from the vibrations of the sound. Our bodies are mostly made of water. And you've probably seen, like, if you throw a rock in a river, you'll see that ripple effect. That's the same thing that happens with vibrations, is specific vibrations. So the science says if you listen to a certain rhythm, then you will help your brain relax a lot faster than if you didn't have that. So our brain, when it's conscious, there's different levels of consciousness. For example, when you're fully awake and conscious, when you're in that moment when you're about to fall asleep but you don't quite fall asleep, when you're dreaming, just to not go into the details of like what's alpha, beta, theta waves, all of that. But pretty much you go one level down faster with the music than if you were to just close your eyes and breathe. Of course, if you are an experienced meditator and you've done it before, you might go there quicker. But that's the beauty of the frequencies, is that anybody has access to that by just listening and not thinking about it. You can just get that relaxation way faster and restore your energy, have more creativity. And anything from 5 to 20 minutes, you can already see a difference and feel a difference.
So I have a great question for you. What happens when, since you talk to high performers, entrepreneurs,
struggles to sleep,
and your brain is going 24/7 because you come up with a really cool, great idea that you should stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, like last night for me. Worked all day, and what was it, like 10 o'clock? I was like, this is a great idea. Jumped on the computer and I cranked things out until like 3 o'clock in the morning. What would somebody like that do, or what can they do in order to go lay down and be like, all right, time to like shut off for a little bit and go to sleep?
So if it's a fantastic idea that you cannot stop thinking about, I would encourage you to write it down, maybe send a voice note to yourself so you don't completely lose it.
Yes.
But if you, stand out of from your bed and start working on it, then it's going to be really hard for you to fall asleep after. So my suggestion would be try to keep track of the idea, but don't necessarily, stay to work on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no one to tell you what to do, but
No, just
just
like what's some tactics and tools for somebody that needs to shut off their brain?
right. But
Yeah.
then after writing it down so you don't lose it, you can listen to a specific frequency. Again, there are different types and hertz. I
Yeah.
can, share some resources, but anything that will let you close your eyes, you can practice specific types of breathing. So you might have heard of box breathing, which is, inhale 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds. There are different varieties and ways to count the breathing, but pretty much pick one that will help you focus on the counting. And it's like we know when the kids, they tell them, count sheep so you can fall asleep.
Yeah.
It never really worked for me.
No,
but
me either.
with the breathing, what it does is that it distracts you. It forces your brain to stay focused on counting and breathing. So it's harder for you to think on something else. So if you pair the breathing with a relaxing music that's going to help you relax quicker, then you have a really good recipe for falling asleep faster.
Yes.
Perfect. So you mentioned some like resources. Where would somebody go? Obviously, we're going to send them to you. Go to Alejandra Speaks on Instagram, and she'll be able to give you some. But what are like some resources if somebody wanted that type of music? Like one of the things I've done is I've gone on like Apple Music, and like when I'm doing work and I've clicked on like the deep focus or the focus, and sometimes it works. Sometimes I feel like we got like a rave going on in here. Like some of those songs, I was just like, are we in a club? Like I'm confused. What am I supposed to focus on?
So real quick, before you continue on, right before you came back into the room for us to start, like I was cleaning off the keyboard. I swiped the screen over, and then it turned on the Apple Music focus playlist. And we're just like, oh, this is so nice and relaxing. I was like, it's the focus playlist. Yeah. Because you already had it going.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it does sound like club music sometimes. Depends on.
Just throwing it out there. But what kind is there a specific music that you like to focus on if you're doing focus versus sleep versus energy, like different types?
Yes, there are certain frequencies that are specific for a certain result. So like I mentioned, some for sleep, some for creativity. However, in general, what you have to pay attention to is to be wary of going into a random playlist and just playing anything that you find, because you don't know the source of the person who created that.
Correct.
What was the intention behind the person who created that? And unfortunately, we live in a world where you don't know the agenda of somebody at the other side of the screen, because there can be some hypnosis. You never know. So it's always important to pick a source of somebody that that you trust, that is going to create the best experience for you. And that is why I was so passionate about creating this for other people, because I had similar tools for myself. So I wanted to create something for other people, and pretty much being very intentional about, okay, this frequency is for this purpose and for this purpose and for that purpose. So if you cannot find a certain frequency or you are not sure of the source, you can just listen to, very slow rhythmic music. And that's pretty much what's going to help your brain relax quicker if it's kind of like the same sequence repeated, I don't know, every certain amount of seconds, so that your brain kind of like zones out. Or you could also have somebody reading a story if they have like a really monotone voice that can help you fall asleep as well. Anything that's rhythmic and repetitive, pretty much.
Now, do you record when you're doing your sound baths? Are you recording those to create your frequencies to share with others?
Yes, I've created some audios from my own instruments, and I'm starting to upload them to YouTube as well. So I'm pretty much still, it's very new to me, the sound frequency era for myself, because again, this is a resource that I used for so long. And for the past 6 months to a year, I've been getting training on how to play the instruments, how to combine them and, create this music. And it feels great because part of me always wanted to be a musician, but I didn't really have, that musical training growing up or the singing. So now I feel, okay, I'm actually creating music, and it's pretty cool.
I love it. Well, and it's not like just your everyday music that you listen to. I mean, although now I think that us in this like personal growth space and business space, we're kind of starting to like listen to more of that kind of music. to get us focused or to get us relaxed and to build up our energy again. So that's awesome that you're doing that. And I'm excited for you to keep sharing all of that.
Yes. And what's very interesting is that I'm also looking to pair it with some of the other tools that I use. So I'm also an NLP Master. So that's neuro-linguistic programming. And one thing that I help people is, using their past experiences, their subconscious on their favor. So mixing some of these techniques, for example, to boost confidence, the NLP tools to boost confidence, paired with music that helps you boost confidence. It's like an amazing combination that you don't see a lot of people out there doing. So that's why I've explored on getting this different training, because I'm creating a framework and a program that's very unique. And over the past year, I've had great experiences putting it together. So I'm just very excited to tell everybody about it and just put it out there.
Yes. Dude, I feel the excitement through the screen right now. I'm like, I can't wait. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the burnout topic of burnout and what your daily practices are looking like. I know you're talking about the frequencies to help build up your energy and like physical activity. What does a day look like for you that keeps you going and prevents you from going into burnout?
And real quick before you answer that, just so our listeners know, Alejandra, she's a wife, she's a mom, and she's an entrepreneur. So she's doing all
got
of
a
these
lot
things,
going on.
just like Bria, she's doing all of these things all at one time. So the answer that she has is going to be really good for people out there who are doing multiple things at one time.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, disclaimer, it's taking me about 5 years to, let's say, perfect my routine. And it's still a work in progress. It's not perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And that is something that's important to remind ourselves of. We don't need the perfect 20-step routine.
Right.
What we need is to understand, okay, what is one thing that I know will boost my energy, and attempt it and see what happens. And maybe what worked yesterday doesn't work today, because life is life, and you might get, really big emotions. Something happens to you. You get news from a family member. Like, you never know what, you don't have a control of what happens to you, but you have control on how you react to things, right?
Yes.
So
that's so good right there.
Yeah. It's
Can you
all
repeat that
about
real quick?
trying.
Repeat that one more time for our listeners. That's a great one right there.
We don't have control on what happens to us. We have control on how we react to what happens to us.
So good.
And that is why my most important daily practice that I have is meditation. And that is something that I do every single morning, first thing as I wake up. And then ideally, I would have 30 minutes every morning for my meditation practice, but I don't always have the full 30 minutes. So what I do is I actually have a couple of speakers that have like a 3-minute timer. And if I don't have enough time, I just have those 3 minutes. And if my speakers are not there, I left them downstairs, whatever, I just give myself 2 or 3 minutes to close my eyes, tell myself 3 things why I'm grateful for. And just do really slow breathing. It's kind of like grounding myself and preparing myself to be ready for whatever life throws at me before looking at my phone. So I have my alarm on my phone, but I do not open any apps, no email, no messages, no Instagram, until I finished my meditation, even if it's the 3 minutes or the 30 minutes. And I gave myself some time for myself in the morning.
Right. That's there.
Huge. So that is the biggest thing that I always encourage everybody to do. If it takes practice. It's easy to tell yourself, I'm not going to see my phone, but then the notification pops up and then you can get distracted. But just remember that every mistake is progress. If it didn't work, now you know the next day that you can try again in a different way. Maybe put your phone in another room. Maybe put the airplane mode. There are many things that you can try and tactics, but only you know what works for you. So keep testing and trying.
I love that. One of the things you mentioned that is something that I've been focusing on a lot as well is you said 3 things that you're grateful for. Why do you do that, and why is that so important first thing in the morning?
Gratitude is the easiest way to raise your energy, no matter what's going on. If you have a very low moment, it's going to help you, stay grounded and get perspective on the things that you already have. And it's just going to make it a little bit easier to navigate. Okay, this thing is really hard and I don't feel okay, but I'm still grateful that, I have my health, I can move, I have running water, I am with my family, my kids love me, all the little things. Just repeat that to yourself, just because it gives you perspective, how many people are out there in the world that do not have those things, and you do have it today.
Yes.
So in the lows, it grounds you, it gives you perspective, and in the highs, it just makes it so much better.
Even
It's like,
better.
oh my God, I had this amazing opportunity. I'm so grateful, and repeating that to yourself. So that's what I do in the morning. And my husband, I tell him, hey, what are you grateful for? And then I kind of like made himself have this routine. He might not remember, but I ask him every morning, what are you grateful for? And we have our little bonding moment for 2 minutes. We cuddle with each other. Sometimes my kid sleeps with us, so I cuddle with him. And I really take in those few minutes in the morning to raise my vibe and just start with the right foot.
That's so good. I love that. That just sounds like it
melts my heart. It really does.
Thank you. Yes.
That's exactly what it does.
It melts my heart and energizes me starting the day like that. That is so good. I love that.
So we have a lot of husbands, wives, couples on our podcast that are listening. One thing you mentioned that I loved is you asked him what he's grateful for, and that creates more of a bond and communicates first thing in the morning. How has that helped your guys' relationship, and have you guys always done that?
It's helped tremendously. We didn't always do that. I'm always a very optimistic person. So I kind of like already asked that to myself, but I wanted to include him in that. I mean, not only to raise everybody's vibe, but to be honest with you, we had a moment in a relationship where we went through a rough patch.
Okay.
So that really helped us reconnect and be reminded of the things that we are grateful for together. And kind of like reinforcing that dopamine between each other.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where we're like, okay, we started to go to therapy. We're rebuilding this relationship. But there were some things that, still didn't bring positive emotions, that if we remembered those things. So I wanted to always raise our energy together. And I figured that would be a good way for us to do so, and having that cuddle moment in the morning to kind of, for women, a lot of times you want a partner that protects you. So when he hugged me, I told myself I feel safe, I feel loved. And then, I don't know what he told himself in his head, but pretty much it helped me feel safer in the relationship as we were going through this rough patch. And we just kept it as a routine that we still do. And I just love it. And every morning, or every time that I remembered, most mornings, I ask him, what are you grateful for, after I do my breathing?
I can tell you what he's thinking. He's thinking very interesting things, to be honest. And any guy listening is thinking...
Dudes are going to dude.
Dudes are going to dude. I'm just saying. That's exactly what's going through.
That's fair.
But he loves it. Like, that's what we love as well. Like, first thing in the morning, like, just communicating with your significant other and just holding on to them, knowing that they are yours, and that, hey, maybe something could happen, maybe something can't. But it's just, it like you mentioned, it raises the energy. It gets people excited, gets people happy, all in different ways. But it's first thing in the morning. That's a huge thing, especially if, like, let's say yesterday was rough, or let's say the business is going rough, or it's going sideways, just as businesses do. Just those little things definitely help with the energy amongst the business and the relationship. So I love that.
It's huge.
Yeah, it is. So when you talk about energy, you talk about burnout, and you help entrepreneurs, how do you help somebody? Because there's people out there who are like, I don't need the help. Business is growing, business is thriving. Like, I'm kicking ass and taking names. What are some still things that they could do to make things even better? And then give me 2 seconds.
I mean, you cannot help somebody who doesn't want to receive the help in general. Somebody, even for transformation, for change, the other person has to make the decision that they want to take in the advice, or, the help, or the suggestions, or whatever is it that the other person is sharing. So, I mean, like I said, if anybody wants a very general thing that they can do, it's movement and gratitude. That is something that I think everybody can take in right away. If you're skeptical about the frequencies, if you are not sure if this really works, what I tell those people is, okay, I encourage you to try it, see how it feels, and just test it. And if you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to try it again. But if you want to live a different life, you have to try different things. So if you feel that you're in a loop and it's always been the same and you're always tired, then try something different to see what happens. And it's just a test. You don't have to commit to anything. It's like a 3-day trial, right? You can always cancel.
Yeah. No, it's like what you said. Basically, if you're wanting your life to change, but you're not willing to do differently to change it, then things are going to look the same and nothing's going to change. So you're like, give it a shot. You're like, maybe it sounds woo-woo, but you never know. It might be the thing that really makes that personal shift for somebody. And when they're like, wow, this really works. Okay, I'm glad I tried it. Now I'm going to put it in my everyday routine because now I know my performance level is going to go through the roof.
Exactly. And I mean, I came across meditation. So at first I started in the pandemic, and I started it because I felt stressed out and everybody recommended meditation. So I thought, I'm just going to give it a shot. But then I had the spiritual teacher, my mentor, and she actually told us something that opened my eyes. And I started to look into it, and it's true. And it's that most of the most successful people in the world, the best entrepreneurs, the people who have the most success, what they had in common is that most of them, if not all of them, meditate. They have some sort of meditation. It's either an actual guided meditation, it's journaling for 10 minutes, it's going on a walk in silence, it's painting. But they all have this in common. So that might give you some hints. Okay, if most people at least that are successful are doing it, it must be for a reason.
Yeah.
And there's like so much research, even just on the science on what it does to your brain, how it can help you focus more. I, growing up, was always the kind of person with ADHD, and I felt it was like a crutch for me. And ever since I started meditating, I feel like I can focus better on my everyday tasks. So exercise and meditation completely changed my life. And that is something that I will always tell people to just try it for 5 minutes. And what I love about sound frequencies, it's that it's kind of like a meditation, but it's easier because you're just listening to the music. You don't have to think about it or pretend that you're clearing your mind or your thoughts, which is intimidating for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You just listen to the music and close your eyes and breathe. That's it. You don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, because I know for a lot of us, it's hard to get focused into like relax and to get our brains to shut the fuck up, like turn that music on, and now it's allowing you to like totally relax and just listen, like you said.
And
so good.
It's uncomfortable at first. If
Oh,
your
without
mind
a
is
doubt.
racing,
I've
you're just
tried
going
it.
to want
It
to like
is.
turn it off and like, do this.
Yeah.
But if you can hold it for 5 minutes, you'll completely feel the difference. So that's what I tell myself. Just remember how you're going to feel after. Kind of like with a workout. It kind of sucks while you're doing it, but you'll feel amazing after.
Yeah. No, I've tried doing the meditation thing for 2 minutes. I started with 2 minutes because I was like, 5 minutes, that sounds like a long time, even though like it goes by in a flash.
Yeah.
But for having to sit so still and to like be so like focused, that's really hard for a lot of people. So even like the 2 minutes when I was starting doing it, it was really hard. It was really hard to get to sit so still. I'm like, wait, but I have an itch, or I need to stretch my leg. I'm getting a cramp, because I'm like, okay, now I got to start over again. But the 2 minutes to 2 to 5 minutes is a good starting point. That's so good.
I love that. So one of the things that we ask every single person that comes on our show, and before we even ask that, again, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Don't forget to follow Alejandra Speaks, and definitely watch out for the YouTube channel to pop up. I know we're going to be excited for it because I need some sound baths and some focusing and some sleep meditation help. So don't forget to follow us. Don't forget to follow her. If you have any questions about sound baths, burnout, anything, reach out to Alejandra. She's amazing, and she'll be happy to answer those questions for you. But Alejandra, one of the biggest questions we ask every single person on our show, we never get the same answer, and we love it, is what are 3 golden nuggets you think our listeners should know about burnout, sound baths, anything that you think that
And raising your energy.
Yeah, raising your energy, the most important 3 things.
Okay, the most important 3 things to raise your energy is first the awareness, just to know what fuels you, what drains you, and keep track of things. Then remember that burnout is just a signal. It's just telling you that there's something to pay attention to, that you're overwhelmed, that you might be having too much on your plate. So first thing, awareness. Then the second thing is to change how you move. Change something about your state. So if you're sitting down, stand up. If you're standing up, walk. If you're walking, jumping jacks, push-ups, whatever that you want to do to just change your physicality. Yeah. And then the third one would be to allow yourself to close your eyes and breathe and potentially try a sound frequency, try a song, do breathing, do some sort of meditation. Those are the 3 things that I would say would help anybody raise their energy immediately.
Those were so good.
Yes.
Literally none of our 3 golden nuggets from any of our other guests have ever given the same golden nuggets.
It's awesome.
It's our favorite question to ask at the end of every episode. Thank you, Alejandra, for joining us today.
Yes, and just remember that it's just trying different things. What works for me might not work for you. So just see everything as an experiment. If it doesn't work for you, just try again. And it's just a matter of knowing that if you feel burnout and overwhelmed, it's because you have too much on your plate and you are always in control of that. No matter how overwhelmed you feel, you can always do something about it and prioritize your energy levels. And remember that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's just transformed. So what you're really doing is recycling your energy. It's taking it from another source and soaking it in to fuel yourself. So when we say create energy, it's not that you're creating energy per se, but you're creating energy for yourself and taking it in from the music, the physicality, the breathing, the gratitude. But you are always in control of doing something to shift it.
I love that. And that kind of tailors into our Infinite Gold community, the Final Percent community. When you are part of a community, we know that you're part of various communities as well. When you're part of a community that has high energy, when you come into that, if you are low energy that day or you're struggling, they're going to raise that energy. Just kind of like you said, just being around energy flows between person to person, and we see it amongst each other. You probably see it with your husband. There'll be some days when you might have low energy. If they have high, it brings you up and it helps bring that harmonious balance within it. So Alejandra, thanks again for joining us today. Again, feel free to follow Alejandra, follow us, and if you have any questions about anything that you've heard today, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.
Later.
Thank you.